Hello, and thank you for joining me here today, or tonight, may I say. Very, very late night. I guess that goes along with who I am. I'm late, Lenson. If you don't know already, today I want to talk to you about what this channel is. I'm sorry I got this little beard here, not like this little bald spot, but self-isolation is really cruel to you when you've got a bad beard. Um, so the question of what this channel ought to be, what I want it to be, is very, very clear to me. Um, and this has come over some long hours of thinking of what I want from this channel, and I want this channel to be wisdom for people. And that's not to say I'm old, that I'm wise, but I want to take you on a journey through learning life's lessons and learning wisdom. I know a lot of people out there, if you want wisdom about marriage, I'm not married, go to Dennis Prager, go to Stephen Crowder. If you want wisdom about having like children, go to Dennis Prager, uh, go to Gerald C. Morgan, uh, go to any of those people, go to a parent that you know. I can give you knowledge on those things, but I can't give you experience, I can't give you wisdom on those things. But I will give you wisdom about being a student. I will give you wisdom about being a young adult. I can give you wisdom about those kinds of things, and specifically about politics and what I've learned through the very few years that I've experienced a political world, and those things have changed in my mind. But I used to be a major socialist. I thought, hey, I'm a Christian. Isn't it a good thing to give everything I have up for Christ? A, yes, but B, I'm not giving up everything I have for Christ if I'm just giving things away for the sake of giving it away. Um, I did hear at one point, and if you're an analytical person, this won't make sense. But from Michael Jr., a comedian, a Christian comedian, he said that the obedience of God is more important. So obeying God is more important than giving or being generous or anything like that, or sacrifice. And I believe that to be true. And I had a hard time. I watched this a couple of days ago. I had a hard time trying to process that in my mind. Like, no, if I give $100, that's much better if I give nothing in obedience to God. But I thought about it a little bit more. I mean, I don't believe that to be true. I do genuinely think that obedience is more important uh, than giving, than sacrifice. And though sacrifice is good, we must do it in obedience to God. We must do it in obedience to the Word. I can give $100 to a poor person and have nothing left for my family. And by the way, to people who say, well, how do you know if you're obeying a God? Well, He gave us His Word called the Bible. And if we're not obeying that Bible, in, in replacing that with sacrifice, that can be really harsh. Now, I know Michael Jr. wasn't meaning about the Bible necessarily. He was meaning about being given spiritual guidance from God. And though I think that's important, and I think that that happens, uh, I don't think that's easily discernible. And in a split-second decision that you must make, it's not always possible to just be like, okay, this is what I'm hearing from God. Instead, submit yourself under the authority of the Word of God, the Bible, and do what the Bible says. Yes, is it better to sacrifice your language, the things that you say, to obey the Word of God? Yes, but is it best to sacrifice the right to preach the word of God because your government says you can't preach the word of God. No. And so obedience is much more important than sacrifice. And though in preaching the word of God in a country or in a town or in a city in which it's outlawed to do that, you are sacrificing something, and most of the time that's your life, or it could be your freedom of just movement. I do think that that sacrifice is more important than sacrificing your right to free speech, um, because it is abiding with God, um, and I think that's important. And you said abiding, not abiding. Sorry, guys. But no, this is what I want my channel to be. It's wisdom about the world, wisdom of what I've got from the world, and what the wise choice should be about what to do. And I'm going to come back probably in a couple of days and talk about illness and what's the wisdom that I can give you on illness. What's the wisdom that we should take from here? Because what is the wise decision is probably one of the hardest decisions that we would ever have to make between life um, and society. Is one life or two lives or 600 lives more important than securing a good society? And that's what we're going to discuss in the future episodes. And I want these videos to be transcendent. I don't want them to be timed. I don't want to be time stamped on this. I want it or your stage stamp. I don't want it to be for one specific era or one specific purpose. I want to be transcendent through time so people in 10 years, 50 years, 100 years can come back to this. Not to say that I'm going to be famous or anything like that, but that one person or two people that hear this can make the world a better place. Because even if I reach one or two people doing this, that could change the world in the future. It may not directly be from me, but it will at least help people understand the world and help people change the world. And that may be one person, that may be 100 people, there may be in the future 100,000, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. It doesn't matter to me. That isn't important. Sure, I would love to make a career of this, but if I'm sitting in front of this camera for the rest of my life and it reaches 5 people, I don't care if it's 5, I don't care if it's 100, I don't care if it's 1,000. I want to make this content so that not only my kids can see it, but my kids' kids, and they can see the wisdom and the progression of wisdom that has been fallen on me as a process of learning, on a process of God giving me this wisdom, on a process of listening to other wise people like Dennis Prager, listening to other wisdom from people like Stephen Crowder, listening to people like Ben Shapiro. And I know a lot of these people give us knowledge, but I really want my life not to be centered in knowledge, though wisdom can only come through knowledge. You can't be wise if you don't know anything. In the sense of, you can have moral wisdom, you can't have tactful wisdom in the case of how do we deal with this? What is the best step forward? Because this kind of lockdown might be appropriate in a case where there's 100% death rate from a virus and maybe a 30% uh, um, contagion rate from the virus, right? But at the moment we have probably a really high contagion rate with a really low 0.66%, because there's a new study that came out, 0.66% death rate, and that's obviously we must use wisdom when approaching older people. The older that somebody is, the more likely they are to actually have ill effects from this, including death. I think the highest was at years old, it's somewhere in between 16 to 18% death rate, which is really high. Um, but to say um, that it is the most deadly disease we've ever had, that's not exactly true. Um, Typhoid was much deadlier. Um, Tuberculosis is still much deadlier. About 2 million people die a year from tuberculosis, and it infects about 8 million people. So that's about doing all the math on that. That is about a 25% death rate. Um, that's not great at all. And the death rate for coronavirus, novel coronavirus, COVID-19, the Wuhan flu, whatever you call it, the death rate is somewhere in between 0.2 and 1%. That isn't enough to lock us down, destroy our economy. Uh, and so I want to move forward into talking about that in the next video. So I want to thank you guys for joining me here today. Uh, this is going to be a different kind of uh, format that I have because I do like this camera. Even though it's really grainy, I like to be able to look you in the face, or you look me in the face, rather. And I don't like the whole speaking into a microphone, editing the microphone stuff, having to make it interesting for you guys. But I do think that my face is interesting enough. You should look at my face and you should think this is interesting. At least the splotches here, the splotches here, the splotches here, and the fact that I can't grow a moustache to save my life. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining me here today. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and God bless you. But yeah, until I see you next time, uh, be safe, be kind, and God bless.